This is Samantha, and I'm here with Mrs. Udell, who has agreed to share some of her experiences with us. Mrs. Udell, what branch of the military did you serve in?
The United States Navy.
What inspired you to serve our country?
When I was a young adult, I was age 20 when I joined the service. I didn't have a lot of guidance. I didn't have strong parents to support me in my decisions. And I had enrolled in college, but I didn't have a lot of direction. So I did a lot of soul searching with myself and decided the best step for me was to join the military and get some guidance, some discipline, and some strength in who I was. And that's what I did.
Did you get to travel to places around the world? If so, where?
I did. I was stationed aboard the USS Detroit when I made a 6-month cruise, a deployment, and we went to places like Turkey and Italy and Spain. I went through the Suez Canal, the Strait of Hormuz, over to Dubai, over the United Arab Emirates. Yes, I went to several places and enjoyed my time on board the ship very much.
What job did you perform in the military?
I was a hospital coroner. You might be able to relate that as a medic, or in the military, the equivalent of a nurse. Only we didn't have to go to all that training that nurses go to school for, but we performed many of the same jobs.
Can you share a memory of your time serving our country?
Oh, I have many memories, 22 years worth of memories. But one of the fun ones, something that was really interesting and really kind of cool, when I was stationed aboard the USS Holland, and we were out on a small mini deployment, just a few days, to do some training. They had what they used to do called swim call. We would be out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and they would let down the ladder, and we could go swimming out in the middle of the ocean. You couldn't see land for days. It was awesome. But they would put other sailors in small boats around the area where they let us swim with weapons, with guns and stuff to protect us from sharks. It was pretty cool. It was really interesting. I enjoyed it.
Thank you for our service to our country.
You are very welcome. I enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you.
This is Lizzie, and I'm here with Mr. Feldkamp, who has served our nation's armed forces. Mr. Feldkamp, which branch of the military did you serve in, and what job did you perform?
Well, I served in the United States Army Reserve back in the early to late 1990s. I did a couple of different jobs. I served with the 3rd Battalion 11th Special Forces Group. In that job, I did something they call Electronic Warfare Intercept Tactical Systems Repair. So I got to work with a lot of really cool electronics back in the day. We got to intercept wireless communications, directional find them, locate where the enemy would be, and we also were running jamming equipment, so we would jam their signals so that they couldn't get the signals out to their individuals that were on the field. The other job that I did, I also went and worked with a civil affairs battalion, and with that I was a 38 Alpha, which was a civil affairs specialist. With that particular job, we worked with, in conjunction with Special Forces and other groups, we worked out in the field where we would work with organizations that had undergone a natural disaster or were involved in war, where there were a lot of dislocated civilians, and a lot of us had specialized skills that we would bring to the field to help rebuild their community.
What inspired you to serve our country?
I guess it was around 1990, 1991, they had an operation, Desert Shield and Desert Storm, and had some friends that were joining up and serving, and I wanted to do some service for my country as well, so I decided that that would be a great opportunity for me to serve my country and perform some services to help our country out.
Did you get to travel to places around the world? If yes, where did you go?
Unfortunately, I was not able to go anywhere, or I was never stationed anywhere outside of the country. But I did serve here in our own country, and especially where my reserve units were. They were all in South Florida, and that's where I'm from originally. So I worked and served my own community.
Can you share a memory of your time serving our country?
Oh gosh, I think probably one of the times that I remember best was when I was going through airborne school right here in Georgia, down near Columbus at Fort Benning. Being part of Special Forces, you're required to go through airborne school and learn how to jump out of perfectly good airplanes and helicopters. And having that experience of never doing anything, or not having that experience of ever jumping out of a perfectly good plane or helicopter before, was quite an experience, exhilarating. You're learning all of the things that you need to learn about jumping out of the planes and how to fall to the ground safely and land on the ground safely. So my very first parachute jump out of a C-130 at about 1,500 feet was incredibly exciting, and a memory I will never ever forget.
Thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is Mason Capers. I'm here with Mr. Smart, who has served in our nation's armed forces. Mr. Smart, what branch of the military did you serve in, and what job did you perform?
All right, I was in the United States Navy from 1992 to 1998, and my job was nuclear reactor electrical operator.
Okay. What inspired you to serve our country?
Just had a sense of duty, wanted to, serve my country and also to gain some valuable job skills.
Okay. Did you get to travel to places around the world? If yes, where did you go?
Oh gosh, we traveled, we've been to Italy, Israel, Spain, all the Virgin Islands. We went to Gibraltar, which is owned by Spain, and a couple other places.
Okay. Can you share a memory of your time serving our country?
The biggest memory was when we go to foreign countries. Their food was different in that not many countries we went to had refrigeration. So if you ate a bowl of cereal, it was with warm milk, usually goat milk. And the meat would be hanging up outside with flies all over it. So that was the biggest culture shock, was the food that you had to eat in other countries.
Okay. Thank you for our service to our country.
Thank you.
This is Lizzie, and I'm here with Mr. Evans, who has served in our nation's armed forces. Mr. Evans, what branch of military did you serve in, and what job did you perform?
I was in the United States Army, and I served as a military intelligence officer for 20 years.
What inspired you to serve our country?
It was my grandfather. He served in World War II, and he thought, it's my time to serve.
Did you get to travel to places around the world? If yes, where did you go?
Well, I went to Korea, Egypt, Kuwait, Iraq, and Mexico.
Can you share a memory of your time serving our country?
Sure. The day I retired, my first sergeant wanted to know what kind of ceremony I wanted, and he said, I told him I want a small ceremony, and when my wife and child and I walked out, there was about 2,000 people there, multiple armies, horses, Humvees, tanks, helicopters, you name it, and it was very humbling. I received so many awards and medals and coins, lots of food. It was a really, really good day.
Thank you for your service to our country.
This is Emery. I'm here with Mr. Hall, who served our nation's armed forces. Mr. Hall, what branch of the military did you serve in, and what job did you perform?
I was in the Marines, Marine Corps. I was a machine gunner in 0331.
What inspired you to serve our country?
It was honestly to prove to myself that I could do it, because with the Marines being the hardest one of the hardest ones, like with the boot camp and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty much a challenge for myself to prove that I could do it.
Did you get to travel to places around the world?
I first went to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, went to Okinawa, Japan, Bosnia, Turkey, Romania, Italy, Spain, and then places in the United States.
Can you share a memory of your time serving our country?
Sorry. We did a lot of training. I enjoyed it, working with a lot of different cultures. Learned a lot of different cultures from people and what their beliefs, how they perceive different things, and that it helped a lot, especially learning from different cultures, going overseas, seeing how other people, things that you take for granted, they think it's a luxury. Like, for example, Cuba, when we went to Guantanamo Bay, they got from their food, they thought just getting a loaf of bread, they thought they were wealthy, just getting a loaf of bread. So it makes your eyes open up a lot.
Thank you for serving our country.
Thank you.